Hello, wonderful saints. We got a good word. And our word is coming out of the Gospel of John 9:29 through 32. Let's read and just break it down a little bit. So I titled this, The Healed Blind Guy Rejects the Pharisees' Claims. Now, as we see from here, we're going to see a guy who was healed by Jesus. And then we're going to see some Pharisees who hate to see that good work to go forth. You know what I mean? And acknowledge the goodness that Jesus has done in somebody else's life, that people will still take their position and stand with their evil, dark heart, because that is what is embedded in them. And they do not like to see goodness or something righteous go forth. Now, I'm going to start up here at the top. We know that God spake unto Moses, As for this fellow, we know not from whence he is. The man answered and said unto him, Why, herein is a marvelous thing, that you do not know from where he is. Now, as we see, we have the wicked Pharisees are trying to persuade this guy who's been healed by Jesus that they do not know who he is and where he come from. And so the blind guy lets him know, what do you mean you don't know where he's from? You know, he just healed me, and you mean to tell me you don't know where he's from? You having a problem with that? So let's continue on right here. And yet he has opened my eyes, and now we know that God heareth not sinners, but if he be a man of a worshiper of God and doeth his will, him he heareth. Since the day the world began, was it not heard that any man hath opened up the eyes of one that was born blind? So this is evident right here that this blind guy is healed now, and he can see that it should be all the power enough in the world. But as you see, some people have been darkened so much that what God has cleaned up in your life and what God has put in your life, and it's not the same that used to be in your life because you used to hang around with them. So it should be evidence for them to see that God is cleaning up a whole lot of things in your life. But instead of them acknowledging what God is doing in your life, is that they'll channel that to be more of a hater and to be more of building up hatred in their heart towards you, because they can see the goodness that God is doing in your life. And instead of for them to just accepting it and just into allowing themselves to be, immersed in what God is doing in your life to evidently rub off in their life, but they'll take that stance and they'll stay with that stance. And that's a terrible thing. So saints, we know from the scripture right here that God hears all things, but for your petition to be heard by God, you must do the righteous things of God. You must put yourself on the right path to wanting to do the righteous things of God. And this is how your petition can begin to start beginning to be heard by God, for you lining up, just like the blind guy said right here to the Pharisees when he made the distinction. What do you mean you don't know where he's from? You know anybody that say you're a part of God who have opened the eyes of somebody? So think it not strange, saints, that people are going to hate you for who you are and for what you do. But as long as you continue on the path of righteousness and to bettering yourself, this will show the difference, what God is doing in your life and what God is doing in their lives. So saints, I hope you got a good word out of this. This is beautiful. In Jesus' mighty name, be wonderful.